Hello, I'm Liselle Sambury and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things writing, traditional publishing, and a little bit of reading. And this is the March vlog. What I'm going to be working on in March this month are two things. So firstly, I'm going to be working on a secret project. I haven't been able to tell you all what this is about yet for publishing reasons, but I am going to be working on it. At this point, I'm working on line level edits, so this is really me and the editor going kind of line by line, sort of very nitpicky about, you know, certain phrases and like just kind of line level tweaking of things. So we're working on that, and that's primarily what it's going to be. I did have to write a new chapter, so I've been working on this some of last month and also some of this month already. So I did have to write one new chapter and do some like larger rearranging of scenes things, but from here on out it's pretty much just all line level edits and like making everything consistent based on those changes I made and doing little tweaks of things that we've talked about, versus doing anything large. So I'm doing 2 chapters a day working on that, just because line level edits are difficult for me because they're so nitpicky, and it can kind of sometimes balloon into bigger things. Like the other day it was like one comment and I ended up taking like a full hour fixing things around it. So that's just kind of the way it goes. So like having a slower pace is good for me because it means that I won't feel myself starting to rush things. I find that like when I'm struggling with a certain edit and I have too much to do per day, I can feel myself kind of like rushing through solutions when I should be taking my time more. So that's what I'm wanting to do. And then the second project I'm going to be working on is the slug book that I've been calling it, hashtag the slug book, which is, you know, it's about an alternate Toronto where slugs have some degree of importance in the world, and a woman whose job is to get rid of them teaming up with an influencer who is the target of a serial killer, and they're both trying to navigate that situation. I'm pitching it, I feel like this quick pitch that also like kind of like leaves some things back does not come across super well, but it's about slugs and it's adult and it's horror, and I think it's really cool. So that's what I'm working on. I got edits back from my agent like ages ago, literal months ago, and I've just been like trying to be able to work on it in bits and pieces. And I feel like I've previously, like, I read through the whole manuscript and I made my own notes and then I planned out the edit, and so now I'm more like finally like fully executing this edit. Though I did do a very brief edit when I read through it. I did some like little edits, but now I'm doing the larger work of it now that I've had time to plan. So it is like what I would call a developmental edit. So I have to add in a bunch of new chapters because the word count is actually pretty low. The word count was like, I think it was sitting kind of around 50,000. I believe it's closer to 60,000 now. And my goal is to get it to 75,000. I think 75,000 is a strong place to be for an adult horror. It's like enough space that I can add more words, doing like a few edits, but it's not too long. I really don't want to be doing adult work in like thriller or horror spaces and have it being more than 100,000 words. I just don't think that's necessary for anything that doesn't have a big fantasy component. When things have big fantasy components, that's really when my word count blows up because I have to do so much explaining, and that's not what I'm looking to do in my adult work. So I do want to keep it low, and so I think 75,000 is a really good point. I think slower than that and it might be a little bit difficult to put it on submission. It might be perceived as kind of too short, so I think getting it to 75 will be a really good sweet spot, and I do think I'll get there because I think I have to add something like, I want to say maybe 10-ish chapters I need to add in just to like flesh out a lot of the story and that sort of thing. So That one I'm working on different sort of paces. In the case in which I have to draft a chapter, I try to make it so that's the only thing I have to do that day is just to draft the chapter and like give it a little read over and make sure it's good. And when I'm drafting chapters for this story in particular, I'm trying to keep to around 1,000 words, 1,000 or 2,000 maximum for a chapter. But otherwise, when I'm just going through the chapters and doing my edits, I'm trying to do about 3 chapters a day, because this story has much shorter chapters than the other secret project I'm working on. This one, the chapters are, I've made them purposely quite a bit shorter. So they tend to be between like 1,000 to 1,500, again, 2,000 words maximum. And I actually like maintain that. I worked really hard to have those short chapters so it's a bit page turnery and like fast paced. So I've been working on that as well. So I am doing both, and so far it is working fine to do both. Most days this means that I am kind of working a full day, so I finish at like 5 or something like that, but some days I finish at 2, some days I finish at 3. Today I finished around 1:30, around that time, so it's like a acceptable workload for me which is good. And I do really want to be able to have both of these projects, like this stage of editing, wrapped up by the end of the month, particularly because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get my edits back for the final Mastery of Monsters book, which is my YA Dark Academia fantasy. I sent my first draft to my editor, and I suspect that I'll get my notes back kind of like at the end of this month, that sort of timeline, in which case I want to be able to like kind of have a stop point with these projects so that I can send them off, and that way I can get to work on Mastery while I'm waiting to hear back about those projects. But I'll probably have to do some overlap, at least a little bit. I think the secret project stuff will be lighter edits, so I don't think that overlap will be too concerning. The slug book is where I'm like, I don't really know, but I want to be able to do at least that overlap because I want to be able to get the slug book out on submission to publishers this summer at the very latest. I'd like to actually get it out. So those are my goals. That's what I'm focusing on this month. It is thankfully getting much warmer here. I feel like summer's on the horizon. I've also slowly started to it's really sunk in the fact that I'm going to Japan and Korea next month, and I'm like, oh right, that is actually happening. And so I'm trying to like actually plan out my itinerary a little bit more. My travel style is I'm very laid back about my traveling. I'm not the sort of person that wants to pack a million things into each day. I'm not out here like trying to walk 30,000 steps and then my legs hurt so much I can't move the next day. Like I'm really more of like a slow travel type person. Like I want to go to a couple places a day and take my time and see things, and you know, that's kind of my vibe. So I'm not really itinerary wise super packing things in. I'm just trying to sort of pick general neighborhoods where I want to be each day so that I can kind of just like go there in the morning and then kind of spend the whole day bouncing around. But I just want to make sure I'm hitting things that I really want to see, so that I can, you know, do that, because I imagine I'm not going to be going that far, you know, every day. So I want to make the most of it. So I'm just trying to do some planning for that. I'm getting back into my language learning. I know there are lots of people who will go and like not really know any words, but I mean, I'm interested in languages and learning languages, and so I want to be able to have at least some base level of communication. So I'm also trying to get my studying in and get my studying going. So we will see how that all goes. But yeah, March is going to be, I think, okay. I think April is where things are really going to get wild. When I have to figure out how I'm going to work on all of my stuff and then travel for 3 weeks and then come back. Anyway, I don't know. That's for future Liselle to figure out. So with that, I will chit chat with you again when I have something else to say. Your hair looks
takes longer than last June. There's so much I've been down to know about you. Can I just... But we've been distant. Is it too soon to call pretending it's to ask you what's new? And I hope we haven't lost our way, 'cause it feels that way to me. But I know that when I see you, oh, I never wanna leave. So don't be so mad, I know that it's easier said than done. And it feels like it's hopeless. I'm begging, please hold on. Maybe reason, tossing and turning, it's 'cause I'm scared one day you won't reply. So if I said or did something that hurt you, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You know I never meant to. I hope we haven't lost our way, 'cause it feels that way to me. But I know that when I see you, oh, I never wanna leave. So don't be so mad, I know that it's easier said than done. And it feels like it's hopeless. I'm begging, please hold on. Maybe reason, tossing and turning, it's 'cause I'm scared one day you won't reply. I'll keep on trying.
Hello, we have a little change in environment here. Really just for the sake of it, the lighting is very bad here, but I wanted to switch it up. So here we are. And this is my first update I've done this month, which is, it's already like the 17th. So I haven't done well at updating at all. Possibly because of general sadness. My like favorite K-pop group, Zero Base One, split into two. Yeah, I got up at like 3:30 a.m. to watch their last concert live and just sobbed for so long because they were all crying, and I just made me cry. I was like, man, the attachment of watching them go through a survival show, but it's fine. They're gonna do their own thing in their separate groups. But anyway, it bummed me out. It bummed me out hardcore. And maybe also the feeling bummed out from knowing it was happening. And so now I'm just in this place now. So that I just haven't really updated. I've just kind of been plowing through. I've also been catching up on Jujutsu Kaisen, which I like went to watch the new season or the new arc with the culling games, and then I realized I just didn't know anything or remember anything. So I was like, I'm just gonna go back and watch from the beginning. So I've been watching from the beginning. I've been watching the dub this time because I wanted to be able to do other stuff, and I like built little things. The like royal life stuff, like my friend got me like a bookend, so I built that. And then I also got myself a super creator set because I saw someone online putting their Smiskies in the super creator set. I'll probably insert some sort of clip at some point, but anyway, so I wanted to do that, so I bought one of the super creator sets. I would like to buy more eventually, but they're surprisingly pricey. I didn't realize how pricey they were, but they're like $50, man, per set. So I can't just be buying those willy-nilly. So I got one of those, and I just concentrated on doing that while rewatching Jujutsu Kaisen. And watching old Zero Base One content where they're like happy and not sobbing on stage. So that's been helpful. And otherwise working on my writing. So I have been basically working on the two projects at once, just like I was before. So I kind of start off the morning working on secret project stuff, and then in the sort of afternoon time is when I work on SlugBook stuff. I ended up asking the secret project editor for a little bit more time because I realized I really need to read this through another time. So I was trying to, I'd like do the sort of basically line edits, and I do that, and then I try and fix the chapter. But as I'm fixing the chapter, I'm adding more words, and now the word count is like going up way more than I want. And I was like, I can't do all the things I want while I'm doing this edit. So I decided to do a little bit more each day so that I can go through the line edit, and then I'm going to take the extra time that I asked for, which is just one more week. I asked her to basically read through the whole thing. And when I read through the whole thing, I want to cut words because it's too long. So I want to read through the whole thing and cut words, and that'll also help me with consistency and making sure all the changes I've made like make consistent sense all the way throughout the novel. So that's what I'm wanting to do. So right now I'm just in the stage of finishing off going through all the editor notes that are line by line, and then in the next couple weeks is when I'm gonna go through with reading through that whole thing and like making cuts, because it's getting too long. I don't want it to be that way. So working on that. And then with the SlugBook stuff, I'm continuing to move forward. I've had to write like quite a few new chapters, so there has been like a good amount of drafting. Part of that is because I had the opposite problem, interestingly, with the SlugBook, in that it was too short. So I think I had like 60,000 words around that number, and I want to get it closer to 85, which of course now it's at 82,000 words. Where did I get that 20,000 words? I don't know, but I knew that I would do that because adding words is my special skill. And so now it's at 82,000 words. So now it's getting concerningly close to the upper limit of what I wanted. And I still have a few chapters to write. I think I still have at least 3 chapters to add. And so yeah, now feeling somewhat concerned about keeping it at 85,000, but I'm just focusing on that. So I've just like, as I've been drafting them, I've been going through them, just because at this stage with my agent, we're really doing like, we're still kind of in the developmental edit stage. So I'm trying not to be too concerned with things that are line by line and like trying to make everything perfect and polished at this stage, when I'm just trying to make sure that I'm getting in all the chapters that I want to get in, I'm hitting all the developmental edits that my agent cared about, I'm getting at all the character motivations and stuff, I'm cleaning up the mystery bits. So because I'm focused on those bigger picture things, I'm kind of just wanting to get all that nailed down in this draft, and then in the next draft I can focus a lot more on the line level stuff and sort of, you know, polishing up everything in that way, and trying to get that done. I think in the past I've really tried to get kind of everything done in one edit, and it's not really possible or feasible. I really just need to get the framework and all those developmental things nailed down, and then at that point we can go forward. So I feel like that's going well. I wrote a new chapter today that I thought was very good. I was very pleased with myself for writing it, and so I feel like all the character motivation stuff, I feel like it's coming together much more clearly now. I think it's easier to understand where everyone is coming from, and I'm hopeful that it is making the characters more relatable and sort of humanized, and like getting you in closer to them instead of feeling like arm's width away. So I'm hopeful about that. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I found somebody, I say you don't cross my mind, and she doesn't know that your favorite place is still mine. Now I take the long way home, avoid what I can't let go. I don't always think about you, but sometimes I do, 'cause sometimes I drive through all of the streets we used to on First Avenue, 'cause sometimes I don't even know where I'm going at first. All of the turns that I had to unlearn, back to the surface, the feeling of all that we were. I don't think about you till First Avenue. That's when I do. That's when I do.
Doing my little update from my new camera, which I'm excited about having. And I also got a wireless mic now. So now I have a whole mic setup, which I can use with my other camera. Not the Pocket, not the DJI one, but my sitting head, talking head camera. But anyway, I'm very excited about this new camera and getting used to playing around with it and whatnot. But I figured I'd do a little update. Should do an update. At this point, I have in the secret project, I have finished going through all the editor notes, like all the inline notes sort of thing. And now at this point in time, I'm doing a read through and a cut. So it's too long. It's too long for me. And so I'm just doing a cut here. So I'm trying to cut about 9,000 words. So I've decided to do it basically like day by day. So, you know, each day I'm reading through about like 5 chapters. So I'm reading through them and like just making sure stuff is consistent, but also doing cuts. So that's been working so far. So today I did a bunch of cuts and I'm still on track for what I want. So I'm pleased about that. And I'm glad that I am taking that extra time just to like read through it really thoroughly and make sure I'm cool with it. And so similarly for SlugBook, I'm still doing my edits, my developmental self-edit that I've put together. And so I'm on the last act. So I split this book into 4 acts. So I'm on the last one right now. And so I'm just kind of continuing through with all the edits I've planned. At this point, I only have 2 more chapters to write. So I have 2 chapters at the end, basically like an ending chapter and then like an epilogue that I want to adjust a little bit. So I have those still left to do. And so my plan, I guess, is to just kind of continue on with that. So I should be done those edits by the end of the week. I'm feeling really good about SlugBook. I still think it's like very strong and like I think it is much more together now. I feel like the clarity around the character journey is a lot better and it's improved for that fact. And I think the new chapters added a new like twist to it, which was why I ended up adding those chapters. I like thought of a really good twist. And so I added in those, which has been great. So I'm pleased about that. I can see it all coming together and I'm very excited about getting that done. And otherwise I continue to live in fear of my editor emailing me with edits for the last mastery book. But I think anyway, I just think it's going to take a long time. I think I probably won't be able to finish that edit until probably like the end of July or something like that. And edits I do on anything else on Secret Project or SlugBook, I think will have to be in between. But I do think at this point with SlugBook, and maybe I will be completely wrong when I send it to my agent, but I do think that we'll be able to get into line level stuff from this point on. But otherwise, I am swimming along, just lifing, reading very many webcomics. And yeah, just kind of doing that. I'd like to get into reading more books. I've been reading the latest Uketsu book, what is it called? Strange Buildings. And so I'd like to get into reading more of that. I should pick like a book to read while I am away. I don't know what my plan for that is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to take like my Kindle or my Kobo. I'd probably take my Kobo because I can put library books on my Kobo, so maybe I'll put something on there. Or maybe I won't take either and I'll just focus on audiobooks. That might be the better way to go about it. If I can like, you know, when I'm walking around places, if I can listen to an audiobook, that might be the better move. So maybe that. But I think I'm allowing myself to not start freaking out about traveling until April actually hits. Because, yeah, I don't know. I feel both like I'm prepared enough, everything will be fine, but also like deeply unprepared for international travel. But I also feel like I'll just figure it out. So, yeah. But anyway, that's that update. So, I guess the next update will be at the end of the vlog.
She asked about you, I hesitate every time. Every time. I don't always think about you, but sometimes I do. 'Cause sometimes I drive through all of the streets we used to on First Avenue. 'Cause sometimes I don't even know where I'm going at first. All of the turns that I had to unlearn. Back to the surface, the feeling of all that we were. I don't always think about you till First Avenue. That's when I do.
And here we are at the end of the vlog. I am very pleased with everything I was able to get done, which was basically to get done everything that I was working on in time for the Easter break so that I could have a nice break, which is good. And I was able to do that. So Secret Project, I was able to finish that and get that off to my editor. I was able to do the full edit and then also do a read through of the whole thing because I wanted to cut a few words as well. So I wanted to make sure, for one, that all my changes were like uniform and made sense all the way throughout. And I also wanted to cut about 10,000 words. I ended up cutting something close to like 9,500, which is perfect. That is close enough for me. I'm happy with that. So I'm glad I was able to get that done. And then SlugBook was also, I was able to finish and edit. I was also going to do a whole like very thorough read through of SlugBook, and then I just decided not to, just timing wise and workload wise, and also the stage at which we're at. We're still kind of in like that developmental stage, and so I was like, I'm just gonna get it out as is, and then I can go down to that like line level, very detailed sort of read through once I know that all the developmental things are in place and that it's structurally sound. So I was able to get that done, and I sent that off to my agent, and then I also sent it off to a couple beta readers just to kind of get some like general reader feedback on it as well. So that's really good. I'm pleased with that, and that word count has gotten significantly up. I think when I finished the original draft that I had sent to my agent, I had like 60,000 words, and I did want it to be closer to like an 90,000 words, and I believe it's about 85,000 words right now, which is like a perfect amount for me. So I'd like to try and keep it there, but you know, my special skill is adding words, so I don't know how reasonable that will be, but I really do want to keep it around there. So hopefully I'm able to make that work. But I'm pleased with all the different things I did there. I added in a few chapters. So I added in a new perspective chapters, which I think is really good. I'm really happy about that. And then I added in a couple more epistolary type chapters, because this is the sort of book where it's like, it's got the regular narrative chapters, but it also has kind of like excerpts from like YouTube and like message boards and text messages and that sort of thing. It's that sort of mixed media type style. So there were some of those that I wanted to switch up a little bit or like add a couple more in there. So I'm pleased with that as well. I feel like that's going pretty well. And I like the idea of kind of like keeping up with that a little bit. Like I don't know I feel like these days I've been kind of thinking about what I might want my sort of like type of adult book that I'm doing, like I guess sort of thinking of like a signature, like something that kind of is part of that style that kind of goes together. And I've been wondering about like keeping on with that theme of doing sort of that mixed media style. But I don't know, I'm thinking about things and projects in the future as well, so I'm wondering about that. I had all these plans. I guess I'll talk about it when I more in detail when I get to doing my mid-year wrap up, but I was gonna do this romanticy thing, and then now I feel weary and I'm feeling like I should maybe keep working on like horror and thriller standalones for a bit. So I'm thinking that I might instead work on something like that than trying to like get into romanticy game right now. I think it's just, it requires so much time and effort to build a world from scratch like that, and I don't know that that's where I want to put my energy in right this moment. A never say never sort of thing. I think I'd still like to do that in the future. I just don't know that I'd be doing it like eminently. I think when SlugBook goes on submission, I'll probably work on another like adult horror or something like that. So I think that's sort of where my head's at. I've been noodling a little bit on that, but otherwise I'm just kind of yeah, getting ready, getting prepped for doing my trip and things like that. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good that I'm getting the things done that I want to get done, which I'm pleased about. I'm pleased about the progress with the secret project and with the SlugBook. So I'm really glad about that. And I think what I'm gonna start working on next month is I'm going to pull back up the third mastery book. I haven't heard back from my editor yet, deadline wise, but I'm gonna pull up the third mastery book and just do my own independent read through and making notes, because I'd like to kind of just get that done and refresh my memory before I go away, so that when I come back I can kind of hit the ground running on edits. So that's my plan. And yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And for the next little bit, just for channel people, it's probably gonna be vlogs for a bit, just kind of like a once a month type thing, while I'm getting back into the groove of stuff. But I would like to do some other videos coming up, so we'll see. But I think for now, at minimum monthly, I will have a vlog and maybe something else during that month. But yeah, I think just, you know, between me going around, there's gonna be a ton of Japan Korea content from my trip. So yeah, look forward to that. It'll be not as writing related, but I mean, if you want to watch it, you can watch it. It'll be there. And yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you so much. Bye.
But sometimes I do, 'cause sometimes I drive through all of the streets we used to on First Avenue, 'cause sometimes I don't even know where I'm going at first.